Hey guys, welcome back to our Abnormally Normal series here at Cheyenne Mountain Zoo. My name is Sarah. I'm one of the tiger keepers here at the zoo, and today is not exactly just a normal, ordinary day. It is the best day of the year, in my opinion, and that's because it is Chewy's birthday. So Chewy's one of our male tigers. He's our only male tiger, and today he turns 5 years old, and that's a big deal if you're a male tiger. That means that he's officially an adult. So this last year, technically when he turned 4, it could have been that kind of age of maturity, but it's questionable. But as of today, Chewy's 5 and he's an adult tiger. So it's a really exciting day, and we're gonna celebrate because just like a lot of you guys at home that are having birthdays during this really abnormal time, we're still making the most of it. And just like any other birthday for him, we have set up the yard with all of his best goodies. So if we take a look at the tiger yard, we've got an awesome gift wrapped box over here to the right, and inside of that box is what we call treat meat. So for a tiger, a treat looks like a lot of different kinds of raw meat. So all sorts of different red raw meat, some chicken, a little bit of his diet meat, which he also really likes, and then even some fish. And I actually don't know what he'll think about the fish, so he'll have that option. We'll see if he eats it. We have this lovely banner that's basically trying to hold up in the wind right now. We'll see, but there's actually some meat on that banner as well. And then in the very back on our big rock back there, the number 5 is in streamers, and underneath that number 5 is also a bunch of meat. So Chewy's gonna be making his way down from the stairs at the very back of the exhibit, and we'll see what he chooses to go for first. So without further ado, let's bring out the birthday boy. Sarah to Kelsey, you're good to send Chewy to the main yard. All right, so Chewy has a very interesting backstory. He is such a funny tiger. There's a reason he's my favorite animal here at Cheyenne Mountain Zoo. Here he comes down the stairs right now. He's looking at all of his goodies. So Chewy has one of the biggest personalities that I've ever seen in a tiger. So he is what we kind of jokingly call a baby tiger forever, and that's because he does a lot of these really happy vocalizations that usually you hear baby tigers do. Oh, he's choosing a harder route to get on top of that rock. We'll see if he can problem solve this. There he goes. So some of the vocalizations we hear Chewy do all the time is something called a chuff or proustin. And a chuff is basically a sound that you might hear a baby tiger make to its mom, or boyfriend, girlfriend tigers when they're first kind of meeting each other and they decide that they like each other. They might do some chuffing at one another. And in Chewy's case, it's always fun watching him try and climb on this rock. In Chewy's case, he also really likes to chuff at his zookeepers. So a chuff, I'll try and do my best impersonation of it. It's kind of like if you put a P and a V together all at once, and it sounds a little bit like poof. So that sound is a very happy tiger greeting noise. So that's one reason we call him a baby tiger, but I mean, officially, we can't really call him that anymore. He's an adult, so he's growing up so fast. Chewy's also really fast to greet us. He'll actually, during this time, he will, he's eating some streamers right now. In case that worries you, don't worry. Tigers are built for eating things like fur and skin and even some bone pieces. So they have a really strong digestive system. It's okay if he eats a little bit of paper. It's a little bit expected. But during this really weird time where typically Chewy is kind of surrounded by all of his admirers, all of the zoo guests, they are always kind of giving him attention throughout the day. So many people know Chewy by name, and that is so, so special. Not every tiger can say that for themselves. But without all of the guests kind of admiring him, we have found Chewy to be a little bit more needy. So what that looks like is he'll hear our voices or our footsteps from who knows how far away, but he eventually just gets into position to start doing some play behaviors with us. So he'll crouch down and hide behind a rock or a ledge when he hears us coming, and he just patiently waits for us. And then as soon as we have spotted him, he pretends like we haven't found him yet. He actually gets lower to the ground. He puts his ears as far back as possible. It looks like he doesn't have any ears. And then eventually he jumps out, and he's so proud of himself, and then he greets us with all sorts of chuffs. So he's been playing that game almost every single day when he's out in the yard. So I think Chewy definitely misses all of the attention. But it's really exciting that you guys are all here kind of tuning in for his virtual birthday party. So definitely glad to have you guys celebrating with us, even if it is virtual. But Chewy has a very interesting backstory. There's a reason that this guy is so friendly. He's gonna go check out this box next. This is the most exciting present, honestly, so let's see what he thinks of it. He's gonna have to use a lot of those adaptations, those sharp teeth and his nails to really rip and tear at this box. Yeah, he's looking at me like, this is a little hard, Sarah, why did you do this? But Chewy's interesting backstory is that he is actually from the Columbus Zoo. And when he was born at the Columbus Zoo on April 21st, 2015, his mom wasn't really taking care of him. So keepers were able to give mom a ton of privacy and just kind of watching on a camera feed into the tiger den. But being a first-time mom, it's very common that tigers do not really have those maternal instincts the very first time around with cubs, and that was unfortunately the case for her. So after keeping a close eye on Chewy and his two siblings at the time, keepers realized that it was time to intervene and save the cub's life because mom was not nursing them, and they needed to get some of those really important nutrients into them. So Chewy and his two siblings, Han and Solo, and yes, Chewy is short for Chewbacca, they were all pulled from mom and then hand raised by people. Now, it wasn't a really easy first go for Chewy and his siblings. They actually all got super sick when they were first born in those really vital early days when he was only about 2.5 pounds, and they all caught pneumonia. So pneumonia is life-threatening if you're a little tiny tiger cub without that really important immune system built up. And unfortunately, Chewy ended up being the only survivor of his litter. So it was a really rough time, and luckily, he came out on the other side. Honestly, it didn't look good for Chewy for a while either. So I know I'm so grateful that we ended up getting this tiger, who is now closer to 400 pounds. So he's very healthy and an adult today. So very exciting. But what ended up happening with Chewy when he was just a little baby was, instead of playing with the tiger cubs like a normal tiger might grow up, kind of getting to practice those play behaviors, those pouncing behaviors. It's a really important learning period for tigers to kind of become these full-grown predators. He actually grew up with dogs. So that probably sounds really weird. But at Columbus Zoo, there's a cheetah dog program, and those dogs are basically, I mean, they grow up themselves with cheetah cubs, and they end up being friends for life. And then those dogs end up helping raise other baby animals too. So Chewy was one of those babies that he kind of got to be raised with those dogs. And fun fact, our warthogs that we have here at Cheyenne Mountain Zoo met the exact same dogs that Chewy did. So some fun times were had by Chewy and the dogs when it was safe for them to be in the same space. So we've got a very special personality from Chewy now because of his early days. Now when Chewy got to be a bit bigger, so around 100 to 150 pounds, it was no longer really logical to stay in the same space as Chewy or for him to stay with his dog friends. He was just outgrowing all of those little baby claws and those baby teeth. So it was time for him to go into what we call protected contact. So we never share the same space as Chewy as an adult, and That's just for his safety and for our safety. Tigers were built to be solitary cats. It's really not in their nature to be social. So the way that we can kind of set up our relationship with Chewy is to make sure that there is always a fence between us and him. And that just gives him that empowerment to know that if we come over and we want to start a training session with him, that he has the choice to say yes or no. If we went into that space with him, that choice would really be diminished for Chewy. So we do not go into the same yard as him. But Chewy loves to train, and we have an awesome relationship with him. So as I was kind of describing, he really likes to do a lot of play behaviors in the yard when he sees us. Oh, that's a good piece of meat right there, Chewy. He's going to work on that for a little bit. He's got a super scratchy tongue. So tigers, when you see them eating food, you might notice that they gnaw with their back molars, but they really use that scratchy tongue to lick up a lot of the bits of meat. So Chewy, he's got a great relationship with us, whether it's play behavior in the yard where he's gonna kind of crouch and stalk from behind all sorts of rocks and trees and then jump out at us. That's just fun behavior. And then when he finally reveals himself, there's never aggression. It's all play. He is defending that meat. We've got somebody on the other side of that window. He just gave him a quick, hey, you're not going to take this, right? And now he's eating again. So good job, Chewy. Those adult vocalizations are definitely showing through. Yeah, he's not chuffing right now. So, Chewy, no one's going to take your meat, my friend. Okay, you believe me. Good. When we train with Chewy, we ask him to do all sorts of different behaviors to help take really good care of him. So some of the behaviors that we ask him to do are natural behaviors that a tiger would do in the wild. So that can be anything from a play behavior to a behavior that a tiger might do in order to gain food. So we've had a zip line go from the roof of our building down into the yard so he can really learn how to run after an object and kind of pounce on it. And then we can also ask him to jump on this ball that's in the pool down here. So he likes to play and swim in the pool as well. And Chewy is pretty convinced that someone's going to take this meat. This is actually a huge compliment to his presence. So we only see him kind of hiss at either a bird that's coming nearby, or if you get within like 10 feet of him, if you're walking past him with some food, that just shows that it's a really high value item to him. So that's actually a natural behavior, and he likes to try to displace whatever's kind of coming closer to the meat. So you may notice there actually are some magpies right now, some Colorado native birds coming up behind him as well. And we have seen him roar at a magpie before, but for the most part, he actually coexists pretty nicely with all of the birds. He has also got some squirrels living in here that have survived many years living in a tiger exhibit. So some other training that we do with Chewy might be to help take care of him. So he's really good at showing us his paw pads so that we can get a good look at his nails and his pads. And then the person that was standing there has walked away, so that's good. Chewy should be able to relax in peace with his meat. He also lines up for injections. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm not personally great at getting shots, but when I go to the doctor, Chewy's my inspiration. He is so good at putting his hip into a needle and getting his shots. So he is empowered in that he doesn't have to participate in injection training, but he chooses to. And he gets a lot of really awesome goodies when he does decide to line up for those injections. He does some blood draw behaviors as well. He can give us his tail, so his tail will join our side of the fence, and that's the best, most safest area in order to get blood draw. And yeah, we try and train him new behaviors all the time too. So anytime we see a video on National Geographic of tigers, as zookeepers here at Cheyenne Mountain Zoo, we get inspired about what natural behaviors we can then train our tigers next. We're going to take that, Chewy. He really likes this meat. That is amazing. I haven't really seen him so excited over a chunk of meat before like this. He's actually carrying it around. Yeah, he's kind of awkward sometimes. Tigers, they are pretty agile, but they're mostly, a big hunk of muscle. These guys have so much muscle mass that they're not going to be the tigers that are climbing trees like a leopard might. So when you watch him walk around, he is kind of heavy on his feet. When he was trying to climb that rock earlier, it wasn't as graceful as maybe other cat species might be. So Chewy, being close to about 400 pounds, he's super bulky, but it's kind of fun and funny watching him walk around just with all of that weight. But Amur tigers, like Chewy here, they're actually the biggest cat in the world. So this is a tiger species that's found in the northeast parts of Russia, so Far East Russia. And they're an endangered species currently. Chewy is close to 400 pounds, but they can get as big as about 600 to 700 pounds. So that's pretty incredible. And out in Russia, these guys actually share a habitat with Amur leopards that we also have here at the zoo. And the Amur leopards are going to occupy a different niche in the forest regions that they share with tigers. They will have to actually take their meat up to the tops of the trees so that tigers won't steal it. So you can see if Chewy, clearly if he had just found meat on the ground, like obviously he's going to go after it. So leopards have to kind of adjust their behavior to live around these tigers. But if you want to help out Chewy's wild cousins in honor of his birthday, you can actually download our palm oil app, and that's going to help out the southernmost tiger subspecies out in Sumatra. So Sumatra, the palm oil industry is really causing some devastation to the forest out there. And we can help out by going to the grocery store and using the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo palm oil app when we shop. And then that'll help save all of those trees so that the Sumatran tigers can increase in their numbers a bit. That's the most endangered subspecies of tiger. But we'll go ahead and give Chewy some privacy with his meat. He's kind of asking everybody to kind of step away, and that's totally fine. For the record, we've never stolen Chewy's meat before, but he's becoming an adult, guys. I don't know. We're watching him grow up. But thank you so much for hanging out with Chewy and I for our Abnormally Normal series, and we'll catch you guys next time. We really miss you.